Hey guys, here's my pre-pan of my informative speech. It's a little noisy. I'm in my lobby of my dorm, but I'll do my best to speak up. Alright. So if you guys like football, or if you know someone who likes football, whether that's NFL or college, you might have thought about the idea of a college team playing an NFL team, whether that's the best college team versus the worst NFL team, or however you want to look at it. But a lot of people don't realize that this actually happened for over 40 years. It would be a game between the best college seniors in the NCAA versus the reigning Super Bowl champs. And it would end up being called the Chicago All-Star Game. And like I said, it went on for over 40 years, but it ultimately just didn't work out, and it lost interest and all of that. So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about it and tell you guys why it ultimately didn't work out. So for you to understand why it worked out from the start, you need to understand the era. From about the 20s to the 50s, the NFL was just getting started, and it just didn't have the attraction that it did today. People weren't making millions and millions playing in it, which would ultimately make some of the best college players not even want to go to the NFL because it just wasn't worth getting beat up over. Towards the 60s, 70s, 80s, and up, it really grew and expanded, and you'll actually see that cause the game to just become less and less interesting over time. So in 1934, Chicago would actually hold the first All-Star game. And it would end up being a scoreless tie, which is crazy to think about nowadays, imagining some college guys playing the NFL Super Bowl champs. But it would be a scoreless tie, and in the first 5 games, the college All-Stars would win 2, tie 2, and lose only 1, which, like I said, is crazy to imagine nowadays. So the last game would actually be in 1976. The college All-Stars would be playing the Steelers, and it was just a crazy mess of a game to start with, but it was actually one of the way more interesting ones out of all 42 years of it. About a half hour before kickoff, there was torrential rains and a bunch of craziness, but it would eventually clear up and allow them to play the game. And they would play the game up until about the third quarter. In the third quarter, those rains came back, and they were just beating on everybody and almost making the game unplayable. It was crazy to see some of the videos and some of the pictures of it. Michael David Smith with Pro Football Talk actually said the game included a horrific storm in the third quarter that looked to be something out of a disaster movie. Keith Yowell stated in his Pro Football Talk blog that as players were leaving the stadium, some of the younger fans were actually rushing onto the field, and they actually managed to pull down the field goal posts and basically just tore up the field beyond immediate repair. So this would cause the refs to have to decide to, cancel the game. Obviously, you kind of need those to keep playing the game, even if the rain does go away. But ultimately, that would end up being the last game, and it was actually a pretty close game up before they obviously had to cancel it. But it was a great game, and but for the most part, the NFL team would actually win 31 the college team would win 9. 2 of them were ties. But the game had come to seem pointless. College players couldn't compete with NFL players. Michael David Smith said that in the same post. But yeah, towards the 60s and 70s, players just really couldn't compete with, NFL talent. It was just way above what it was compared in the younger years. So, yeah, I mean, today's NFL is just a different era, and to think that something like this could happen is crazy. It just wouldn't work out. So, the next time you guys think about it, just realize that we tried.